Excuse me. Oh, let me just get my hair out of my way. There we go. Okay, I'm ready. Hi again. Uh, yeah, I am Paige the Puppet, coming to you live from Whitecourt, Alberta, where I live with my co-host here, Miss well, is it Miss or Mrs.? We don't even know exactly how you would describe her. So, yeah, as far as that goes, because she just got notification of the divorce being legal. So, yeah, she is not technically Mrs. Korchinski at the moment, but we haven't done any official changes of her name. And, really, she just liked to kind of be like all those one woman powerhouses of success that are out there. The Chers, Madonnas, Oprahs, although all of them are in some way or another problematic, we still have some certain amount of admiration for all of those having just one name that they're known by. So here we go. This is Patricia with a Y, my mama. Hi to Cool Gamer and the other live viewer who is out there right now. As I mentioned in my description, if you happen to read it, we had so much fun this morning. Mama and I. Hi, Joe. Welcome. Good to see you too. Oh, it has been a long time. I tell you, Mama here has been so busy, so darn busy. And she, yeah, pretty much hasn't had time for me. And then there's the whole depression thing. She's been going a little bit through an episode of kind of on the edge of depression, anxiety, a whole lot of things that have been, yeah, that have been difficult. And so, yeah, we thought that we'd talk about some difficult things today. We started this morning with the whole concept of weird and how weird can be painful, much as it is somewhat revered within the toxic positivity community. And they don't talk about the difficult status of being an outsider, the way that that can work on your psyche. And I am not, and Mommy is not, a counselor, or, we don't have any education beyond two very basic intro to psychology courses. So, take this all with a grain of salt, just from experience and, our opinion and all of that sort of stuff. But with all of that out of the way, gotta understand we are just we. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what was I saying? I wanted to be so careful about disclaiming that I wasn't a counselor or nothing that I forgot what my topic was. Oh yeah, like Mama's been suffering from a certain amount of depression and not feeling good. Oh dear. But she's okay. I just want to let you know that she is okay, okay in so many ways. But I see that our live video coverage of her has stagnated. So I'm just gonna have her move forward and fix that. You should not be able to. This should not be the way it is. But let's just fix that as I am talking here. Mama, get back a little bit. They can see our effects. They can see our effects. Don't let them see our effects. Okay, but at the same time, change those settings. Change those settings, because that's not good, Mama. It was not supposed to be once. You were supposed to set it to forever. So let's change that. And Mama, maybe for a second, to get that set, we want to set that. Okay, I see what you are doing. I'm sorry. Apologize for the delay, but yeah, we wanted to make sure that we get this on. And there we go. There we go. And this is set. And then we go. That is set. Why is it doing that? Oh, Mama, maybe you can fix it. You're going to have to look funny in there. Okay. Here we go. Okay, let's see. Enter is forever. We're going to go to Canon. And excuse Mama for just a second. Okay, I guess you can see me now. Just 1 minute. We're going to switch back because I do prefer it when Paige is talking to you all. So let me just fix that. See if this does fix what we're aiming for. And then, no, it does not. Ha! Okay, let us see whether we can fix the settings so that it looks like I actually have skills. Okay, set, and that. Okay, once I sit back in place, it should be the way I want it to be. Okay, there we go. Mama's back in place, and we have gained a 3rd viewer out there. So, in addition to Cool Gamer and Joe H, welcome to our 3rd viewer as we continue our conversation on weird is pain and pain is weird. I think you can agree with me on that. If you don't, well, comment below and tell me why you think I'm wrong. But yeah, I do not think I'm wrong, not one bit. Because we have 25 years, as I was saying before in our previous live broadcast today, that Mama has 25 years of experience as of July 2nd as a home-based small business owner. Because, very back in the beginning, as we said before, she specialized in being a professional home child care provider. And from there, she started to explore. Well, first, we have to admit, she fell for the MLM dream, but not really, kind of just sort of in a way. She joined a company called Discovery Toys, and they are still around to this day. And at that point in time, they had just been taken over by Avon. And, in Mom's mind, there was nothing wrong with Avon because her stepsister had sold it back in her former small town, and her elder stepsister seemed like a pretty with it kind of woman. I mean, they all had trauma and weirdness, but like overall, she thought, well, if she's doing Avon and it made her a few bucks, there was nothing wrong with that. So, anyways, Mama thought that because she had a day home and it had that limited capability of making dollars, which what Mama needed to make. I mean, there were a lot of benefits of being a home-based child care provider while looking after her own children. The first one being she got to stay home with her own baby and not pay for childcare. That's huge. That is huge. And she didn't have to pay for lunches out or outfits because, prior to working from home and having the baby, Mama had worked in retail and she was spending $2,000 a year on clothes. No, wait, it's $1,000 a year on clothes because that was the whole budget. So here's the way it works. She got 50% a percent off of clothes from the store that she worked at, up to a maximum value of $2,000. It was split up over the quarters, $500 each quarter. So it actually cost her $250 out of pocket for $500 retail worth of clothes. So she was spending $1,000 a year on clothes, right? So she was saving that just by staying home. And lots of people over the course of the pandemic have realized how much they can save, by space, by being home. And that was one of the benefits that Mama saw way back 25 years ago this week. And that was where she first discovered the power of publicity through a newspaper. She decided one day, because there was something that happened in the news about a child who had walked away from a day home, not a day home, but I think it was a daycare center. No, was it a daycare center? It was either the child walked home from either a daycare center or a unlicensed babysitter. And they had walked all the way home without being detected. And then they were making a big deal in the newspaper about how I forget what the point was, but anyways, it made Mama mad because she was a professional child care provider running a registered day home, and they hadn't talked about the benefits of that in that particular article. So she wrote a letter to the editor, and it was published. And then the following week, well, because it took a bit from the time she wrote it till the time it was published, and then the day after it was published, all the families that Mama was looking after mentioned that they had seen her letter to the editor in the paper. And then later on, when she needed to get some new clients again, some of them, one of them, I think, no, it was more than one, but less than 5 people recognized her from that letter to the editor. So that was our first brush with publicity, and that was approximately, around 24-ish years ago. And so that was our very first foray into publicity, which is where Mama kind of ended up after trying to run a website for childcare providers. That was the next thing we kind of tried. Was after or before or during when she got that article into the Today's Parent. Today's Parent, for those of you who don't know, and at this time she wasn't looking at it as publicity. She wanted to be in the magazines as a writer, with the byline and everything. And then after a while, it stopped mattering whether she had a byline or whether she was in the story. In fact, we really prefer being in the story than being the writer of the story most times. I know she still likes writing press releases, of course, because she really liked doing that. And that was a little bit of a talent of hers. I mean, it wasn't just back then. Anyways, I'm rambling a little bit. I got off topic from our topic today, which is weird is pain, and pain is weird. Thank you for joining me. I see there is one viewer out there, and I'm not sure whether it is Joe or Cool Gamer, but if you have something to say, no pressure if it's, not your thing to comment on live videos. But if you want to, we are open to it. In fact, maybe, Mama, you can reach on over there and pull up the banner that says that. There we go. Get you the banner that says that. Hit show. Yeah. For those of you who are watching, we are doing this with the StreamYard platform, the free version, not the paid version, because I am still, at the present time, a poor puppet. But we are hoping, with your help, of course, and with trying to create content that people actually want to watch, and to contribute to, and whatever, we're open. Despite Mama being really big on creating a business plan, we are also open to the possibilities and being flexible. That is one thing Mama has learned over the years as we have progressed from early childhood education and those early years as a freelance writer and those brief dumps into direct sales slash network marketing. Now, Mama never, ever tried to recruit anyone. Gotta make that very, very clear. Mama thought that she could make it on sales and thought that she had a very clear and relevant target market. Okay, so how far did the child walk home? I am not sure how far they walked home. It was several city blocks. It was like enough to be, what's the word? Worrisome. That's the word I think that we're looking for. So it was enough to be worrisome that they had to walk home. And it was a very big deal because, I think it was a 3-year-old. Or maybe 4. Anyways, it was young enough and in big enough city and within the time frame that you would be worried about a young child walking home from, where they were supposed to be cared for and looked after. And you wouldn't expect that if you leave your child with someone to look after them, that they would do not get me wrong. Children can go missing from even the most ever-present of childcare providers. Mama thought she lost a child once, actually. The child was actually just hiding in the basement, but it got really, really close to Mama calling the police. But it didn't end up that she had to, because she found him, luckily. Whew, that was a moment, man. That was a moment. She says she nearly had a heart attack. Maybe. It wasn't that bad. She didn't have like a panic attack, but it was a very rough moment when that child, and she found out afterwards that this child was prone to that. She hadn't known prior to that moment. So anyways, yeah, that's the story of her childcare days back in the dark ages when Google was a guppy and, doing something like this would not have been possible because, Mama's early video work was done on videotape, not anything like this setup here. 3 to 4 years old. No, it's not good. It's not good back then. It's not good now. And you should be able to trust that the people that you leave your children with are looked after. So anyways, Mama wrote that letter to the editor. It got published. It got noticed within her very confined target market because I said in the earlier episode, we could only take 5 children total within her childcare. And so some of the ways that she used to maximize her income were providing childcare outside of regular childcare hours, including overnight care, weekend care, and so forth. And early morning care. Early morning care is actually what she is specializing in right now because, life is cyclical, and she is back to having a full-time gig as a babysitter, this time in the children's home. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we're kind of doing this summer, and part of why Mama's been a little bit down. Now, do not get me wrong, she loves what she does. She loves the children. But it's a little bit of a kick in the teeth to be back doing primary child care. A very relatively easy job. Like in the scheme of things, it's not easy. Do not get me wrong. It's actually kind of rough, trying to balance. But most typical parents do it in the average day. If you're stay at home, making meals and making sure they're playing appropriately, and trying to teach manners and sharing, and eating healthy things, and not being a smart ass, and it is hard to look after children on the daily. At least Mama thinks so, and finds it to be so, even though she has technically been studying this shit. Oh, excuse my language. But studying this stuff since 5 years before she had her first baby. So, that would mean 1991-ish or so. Shortly after she became an adult and started thinking, do I really want to keep to that promise of not having children, which she had told her mama, my great grandma, and the inspiration between champagne marketing on a beer budget that came from her mouth. She used to always say, champagne taste on a beer budget. That's what grandma said. We kind of took it to heart. Actually, we really, really took it to heart and made it our tagline in a way. Even though we don't really drink much in the way of champagne or beer. In fact, Mama detests beer. Oh, okay, listen, Joe, I know you are old school. I know you are of a certain age, a little bit, older than Mama. And so you may think that washing a mouth out with soap is an appropriate reaction. But it can have actually a negative reaction on the child that this is imposed upon. Please remember that child, and I am not a child, I got to make that clear that I am not in any way a child. I am a puppet, and I am perfectly capable of using appropriate language where appropriate. But in the case of a child, okay, they heard that language somewhere. So please take responsibility for the fact that child knows such language. They have been exposed to it in order to speak it. So, if you are tempted to wash a mouth out with soap, perhaps consider washing your own out first. Thank you. This has been my TED Talk on appropriate consequences for bad language in children. Okay, I don't care if you agree with that or not. I still love you, Joe. But I understand that was, back in the day, people thought that would help. But I don't think that anybody who's ever had that done to them would say that it actually helped clean up their bad language. It only made them resentful, and in some cases, it made them like the taste of soap. Want fight? Want fight? You let me know. You let me know, Joe. Because, that's what I'm willing to stand on. Based on Mama's knowledge and her lookout on early childhood education and discipline. You don't have to punish a child to help them learn. Discipline doesn't mean punishment. Thank you. I know I am the one who tries not to swear at work. And in some work environments, swearing is very much a part of the communal aspects of, that particular industry. Like, hello, we live in oil country. Mom and I, we live in oil country, and you better believe that they drop some F-bombs in a lot of so-called professional environments. Doesn't mean they can't get their job done, because these people, they know what they're doing. They just, can paint the air a little blue with the way they talk. No judgment, no crime. But I do try not to, I try not to swear in front of the littles. And but I think that YouTube, it can be an appropriate thing to let the cusses flow when appropriate. Just by thinking, I don't know, maybe I'm weird on that. Maybe I'm not. But that's the topic of today's show. Weird is pain, and pain is weird. Yeah. So, Joe, I hope things are going well for you. Oh, okay, it was a joke. Okay, well, sometimes I don't get all the jokes because I am a pink puppet and, Mama's weird and socially awkward. No judgment on her, she's, yes, I am. It's okay. I can accept that I am weird. And Mama accepts that she is weird. It's taken a whole lifetime to accept the weird and to accept that we have to make our own way on this journey called life because we don't fit in. They say, that, and I want to believe, and Mama wants to believe that we were born to stand out, but, here's where pain is weird or weird is pain, it's natural and to want to fit in. Like a lot of people, it's natural to want to fit in, whether you're, considered normal or average or whatever. But we don't want to change who we are or what we believe in to fit in. Like that's the crux of it, right? Like is finding the people who are weird or accept our weird, because we will never, ever find someone who is weird in exactly the way that we are. Because, if they were exactly like us, that would be terrifying. Terrifying. Because Mama is not a twin, and I am not a twin. And yes, and if everyone was normal, life would be boring. At the same time, the cost of not being boring can sometimes be rejection, can be misunderstanding, can be so many things. Mama told a couple of stories about times she's been rejected and where she's been, kind of punched in the stomach by people in business and things like that. And it's been a tough gig, man, getting through these past 25 years as a creative, independent small business owner. That's what Mama's always been, and whether she still is, well, even though she's part-time. And that's another thing that makes her, like not fit into traditional entrepreneur circles, is that, not having a day job has never been the priority. Finding joy. You see that over there? Like, oh, can we do this without making, so over there. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so over there you'll see where it's the three letters joy, JOW. Okay, so the story behind that is that was made by Mama's youngest son one Christmas. Excellent. I think it was kindergarten that he made that. And, Mama's always kind of loved, seeking joy. And like, we are really mad at the Huns for ruining that for us. Well, they haven't ruined it because we're still like go along with it. But yeah, it's joy. It's joy. And it was made by Mama's youngest son. And that's always been something that was at the center of Mama's entire being in the beginning of our entrepreneurship. She stayed home because she wanted to be with them, because she believed that it was best for Mama to be home, and this was the only way that she could do it, because they needed money. And that's what most families need, right? Like, I mean, hope don't pay the bills. And neither do L&M's, despite the promises. And, Mama never really made money with Discovery Toys. She didn't really lose money because she was able to still write those items off. Like, I mean, okay, so the thing about writing things off, if you don't already know, and this is not interesting to you, Joe, because you have a full-time job, and you're good with that, and that's life, right? But for those of you who are thinking about things, well, at least so the thing with write-offs is you take them off of your income so you don't pay taxes on that particular portion of the income. It doesn't mean that anybody pays for it other than yourself. And so, yeah, that's how write-offs work. But those items were a write-off because she could write off them for the the daycare side of the business too, because toys and books were an eligible expense. So she could use that against the daycare income. Now, the benefit of this is a lower tax bracket, but the bad part about that is that it does bring your income lower. So that's not so good when applying for loans and things like that, because a lower income is obviously, or in cases where, you want to get, well, I guess a mortgage is a kind of loan, but it's a special kind of loan, but things like that is hard to get, or harder. Not impossible, mind you, but it is harder to get if you're self-employed. And that is, a pain point that not is often talked about when it comes to being a small business owner. And so, yeah, there's another weird is pain is weird sort of thing. It's not really a pain thing, but it is a pain in a way to pay taxes, but it is also, and don't get me wrong, okay? I know governments say waste money and shit like that. I mean, and there is a perfectly logistical place to use a swear, is when talking about that sort of thing, is the politics, government, that sort of thing. And I know they waste money, but at the end of the day, when they do, in our country, at least in Canada, I know, Joe, that you are in the States, and many of my viewers are in the States, and so it's not as true down there, but it is true to a certain extent that some of those taxes go to being helpful to the least among us. And so, in sort of a way, when you pay taxes, at least here in Canada, I know in the States, it is ideal, or, whatever, to pay less in taxes, but close to zero as possible. But in Mama's heart, as long as we're paying a reasonable amount and not too much, and as long as we can see that they are going to good things within our communities and across our country, we don't mind that we are privileged enough to pay taxes. Because when you're not paying taxes, it either means you are a con artist or you are really suffering. And we have a heart for all of the suffering people in the world. And so that's our take on taxes, which is weird in a capitalistic world. And you can't tell me it is not, but we do believe in social enterprise, in that business can be good while making money. We don't have to be all altruistic, but we shouldn't be all greedy and piggishy and that sort of thing. So there. Yeah. Accounting games. Oh, you know what? I'm going to pull that up on the screen. I'm going to just put that on the screen. It show what Joe says. Showing what Joe says. It says accounting games. Everyone who has the guts to run a business has my respect. Yeah, mine too. Anybody that can do it, pull the plug and work full time. Now, Mama has pulled the plug to work full time at home a few times. But presently, we don't feel comfortable with that. We just don't feel comfortable going full time because we need, she needs that little bit of being around people, even if they are little people. Little people are still people, and they still feed her extrovert soul. So yeah. And it's not really accounting games, I don't consider accounting, well, part of it is a game, and part of it, it's a really old science. Well, maybe not a science, but there's certainly a lot of formulas and figures and that sort of thing. But it can be fascinating to the people who love it. And it's really best left in the hands of the people who love it and understand it. But, accounting these days is mostly a tax game. Going back to that tax thing, to reduce your taxes, only pay what you owe and no more. It's important to have a good accountant. Bookkeepers and accountant, definitely on the list of experts you should have on hand for your small business. Even if you are a solo business, you should never run your business alone. I think that if MLM people went to an accountant straight off, like they should, like all small businesses should consult a qualified accountant when they are in the startup stages of their business, and as soon as possible after they realize that they need one, because sometimes people, okay, so I see that Joe says something else. Oh no, that's okay, Joe. We love you for interacting, and that's what we would love. Out of all of our viewers, we are up to, I believe, 179 now, and that's really, really exciting. Because as Mom said before, she never had this many on a video platform before. We did have the 600 people who were newsletter subscribers to the Child Care Sentinel, but Mama ended that when her youngest child was about 3 months old, and he was starting to get into everything, and she couldn't handle a break-even business because it was always just break-even. It never really, catalyzed into a profit. It was always break-even. She didn't lose money, and that's the thing about Mama. Her businesses, there was only one like really endeavor that really, actually maybe it's two endeavors and ideas that she launched that lost money. Most of them have been either breaking it even or a livable profit. But yeah, so that's some of the history of Mama and being weird, and she's here if you have any questions for her. But I don't think you'll have any questions for her, Joe. But if you do, I'll bring her on and let her talk. Talk for herself if you really want her to. But, I kind of just enjoy talking for her through me. So there's that. Okay, she has to take a little bit. You got to just put up with Mama being silent for a minute because she needs to take a quick sip of refreshment because talking for me can be a little thirsty work. Okay, she says that was very refreshing. Okay. Mama's just looking up the notes. You can't see her doing it because, optical illusions and all that, but she's looking up the notes we had when we began the day. It has been a really interesting day as we've gotten started. It's 2 p.m. here. So yeah, it's mid-afternoon, and Mama has forgotten to eat again. She just realized. Okay, you have to get going, Joe. Thank you for joining me. And as I get onto the topic of Mama needing something to eat, I think that we will sign off for now. And maybe we will come back later. Mama did want to go up the hill and check out the local market. Maybe she'll take me and do maybe a live on our Life in Whitecourt channel from there because we've been meaning to get me going on there and doing that. Anyways, should I be happy and celebrate that work has been crazy for you, or should I kind of hope for a slowdown for you so you can get that great work-life balance that we all aspire to, or at least I aspire to. Mama aspires to. She's lazy, as we have mentioned, kind of likes to be a princess, but she is really a really cool human being to get to know if you want to get to know her. Anyways, enjoy your day. Don't want to keep you. Want to be able to I'm so thankful. Thank you, Joe, for dropping in. And we'll half and half, he says. Half and half for being happy is busy. And, that's life, right, man? That is life. It's a half and half experience. You kind of love those those busy periods where you get to really strut your stuff and really show that you are magnificent and productive and all that crap. Sorry, excuse me. I guess that's a bad word too. Why are so many bad words centered on poop? Like, just strange things I wonder. Weird is pain, and pain is good. Is pain good? No, pain is not good. And yet they say no pain, no gain. But that's like muscle people and stuff. But is pain gain? Do you gain from pain? This and other questions will be answered in a future edition of Paige the Puppet. This is me, Paige the Puppet, signing off. This is my co-host, Mama, Patrysha with a Y, and we welcome you with questions that might be related to operating or starting a small, creative, independent business. That's who we want to support. But we, also like to talk about trauma. Well, we don't like to talk about trauma, but we think it's an important thing. We talked about that this morning. Getting through and over a toxic, abusive relationship. That's one of those failed areas. Mama tried to be a coach in toxic, abusive relationships. Not toxic, but being an entrepreneur. Going through that and using that to, kind of what's the word? Monetize your way out of being in a toxic, abusive relationship. Because one of the biggest things facing someone in an abusive relationship is, I think it's like, okay, and don't quote me on the numbers, but it is a 96 or 97% of toxic, abusive relationships include some form of financial abuse. And entrepreneurship can be a way to get out and under that. It didn't quite work out the way that Mama had planned with her business and her relationship, but I do have to say there is some sort of sense of freedom now that the legal part is over with too. The actual, being with it and in it and that sort of thing has been over for a long time. But this legal part, she didn't realize how much it was holding her back until it was actually a done deed and final. And we can't wait until that certificate arrives in the mail. And that will be another milestone in Mama's life that she never really expected and never really wanted. But she's eternally happy for now. We got to make that clear that she's eternally happy, even though it wasn't something that she planned. Well, she did plan some of it. It's complicated. Anyways, until next time, I'm going to sign off for now. Until next time, you guys have an amazing rest of the day. Maybe I'll come back in a little while after Mother has found some sustenance, because it's important in the pursuit of self-care to feed yourself, to feed the body, the meat suit that propels everything else. Yeah. So anyways, till next time, you have an amazing rest of the day. And please do, let's just put it on before I go, that oh, I don't have to, it's scrolling across the screen. Okay, just notice that. Well, I didn't just notice that, I knew that before. But I'll let you go now. This is almost as bad as back when there were phone calls and it was really, really hard to say goodbye to your best friend or the one that you love. Are you familiar? Are you old enough to remember phone calls? Those old-fashioned phone calls? Let me know in the comments if you do. And if you've liked this, please add that like. That's important. And so is, dropping comments, sharing. If you support us, please let everyone in your life who is a small, creative, independent business owner, let them know about me. Me and Mama, we just want to help, and we will help, and we will. You just ask us, and we're, like, we do have boundaries. Do not get us wrong. We have boundaries, but we are here, not like the Huns say, but genuinely to help in the best way we can. We're all about the win, 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 win. That's a four-way win because there are four directions and there are four things, and our favorite numbers are 3 and 4, even though they are not the favorite numbers of all our friends. We really like 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. Okay, admit it. We have trouble picking favorites, but we do like numbers in a lot of ways, especially the ones that, mean good things for our bank account. So, yeah, until next time, have an amazing rest of the day, and be sure to drop any questions you think me and Mama can answer in the comments. And if you're a little shy, you can always send us an email, okay? You can send that email to paige@paigethepuppet.com. Okay, so if you are too shy to put a comment in the comments area here on YouTube where it's all public, send an anonymous questions to Paige@paigethepuppet.com. That's exactly how it's spelled. And if you just go to the top of my screen, you'll see how I spell Paige the Puppet. It's Paige. Yeah, so Paige the Puppet, and I will see if I can answer your question. And yeah, and so yeah, until next time, bye.